After years of payroll failures, billions in remediation payments and persistent calls to reform from business and unions alike, the government is scrapping and replacing the Holidays Act in a move it says will finally fix our broken leave system. As of August, Health New Zealand had paid out more than $544.2 million in remediation payments to over 72,000 current employees. For the health sector alone, the total financial liability was estimated to be more than $2 billion. Workplace Relations and Safety Minister Brooke van Velden revealed yesterday afternoon that Cabinet had agreed to repeal and replace the Holidays Act of 2003 with a new Employment Leave Act. The changes are aimed at making leave calculations more straightforward and ensuring that workers receive their correct entitlements. And the Minister joins me now. Brooke, a very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Leah.
A long time coming, huh?
Oh, I mean, I just think of all of the businesses who have been waiting decades to have a simple law. Hopefully this will give them a good steer that, Acton government is actually here to fix the things that matter, and we're here to make it easier for businesses to not have to comply with so many terribly complex laws that probably make business owners wonder, why did they go into business?
In the first place.
When businesses should just be focusing on their core things that they do well, rather than worrying about whether or not they're paying their staff incorrectly through no fault of their own.
Well, let's do a little bit of a breakdown of this, Minister, what you announced. Annual and sick leave will now accrue based on actual hours worked, replacing the previous system that used weeks and or days. How's this change? How will it make it fairer for part-time and casual employees?
Well, the way that this whole system will be restructured is based on a really basic principle that people should be paid for the hours that they work, and they should earn their leave for the hours that they actually work. Now, the current system is really complicated, and it says you're only entitled to your annual leave if you've been in full-time employment or employment for 12 months. You're only entitled to sick leave after you've been there for 6 months. Same for family violence leave and bereavement leave. This makes it really simple for an employer and says right from the first day of the first hour of work for an employee, they will start accruing their annual leave, their sick leave, and they'll have access to that family violence and domestic leave from the start, which means it's one rule for everyone, really. It's very simple, and it's based on a very simple calculation, very hard to go wrong. I think there'll be an awful lot of employees who will really benefit from this too, because if it's been really hard for business owners to calculate whether or not people are getting the correct entitlements, you have no shot as an employee to know whether or not your boss is paying you right. So this is a win for everyone.
And with leave now being accrued by hours worked, could someone who picks up extra shifts then see their leave grow faster?
Yeah, it's an interesting concept. That's not exactly right. So for annual leave, or for if someone's doing a full-time job, they'll accrue that hour by hour based on what's in their contract or contracted hours. If someone then on top of that takes on, an extra shift, or they've picked up some additional hours, that won't be part of their contractual hours paid out when they take their annual leave. What will happen now is if you pick up that extra shift, you'll get paid immediately with a monetary compensation. So that is an extra 12.5% on top of what you would have earned for that new shift. Yep. And that gets into your pocket immediately. That's a big benefit for people who want to see more cash in hand or want to save that or put that onto their mortgage. But it also makes it very easy for a business owner to pay people correctly because they know what is expected when people come to take their leave when they request it, and they don't have to do weird calculations about how much do you have in your contract versus what did you actually earn and what did you actually do week by week over the year.
So accruing these annual and sick leave days or hours, which is actually, as you said, based on hours worked, this is for all employees? This is full-time as well? or is this only changing for part-time and shift workers, or
So
or
yeah,
someone
so
who does a
for the
full-time
most part,
job? Yeah.
for the most part, most people in employment won't see any difference. It won't show much difference at all in terms of their sick leave or annual leave, because we've tried to create an equivalence to the status quo where it makes sense. So I'll give you a couple of examples. If you're a full-time worker working 5 days a week,
Mm-hmm.
and you usually get your 4 full weeks of entitlement, if you start accruing on day one, by the time you reach that 12-month entitlement that we currently have, you will have accrued the exact same amount of leave. And if you're a part-time worker, it's the same deal. You're accruing your leave in the same way that you are now, so that's no different. But where it is different is for sick leave. And this was really important for the business community, I know, who have really struggled to stomach the added costs that happened when Labor added 10 days sick leave to all contracts, no matter how many hours someone did. And we're making this more proportionate. So if you're a full-time worker, you'd expect to have the same entitlement of 10 days sick leave over that year. If you're a part-timer and maybe work 1 day a week, you'd end up accruing 2 days rather than the 10 days.
Okay.
And we believe that this is fairer because if you take the example of someone who's got the flu for a week, if you are full-time, you're going to need those full 5 days off because you were working those full 5 days. But if you got the flu for a week and you only work 1 day a week, you only needed the 1 day off work because you weren't working those other days anyway. So it's proportionate and fair for business and workers. But there is one other element that we haven't touched on, which is important. This will become very different for casual workers, where you have no guaranteed hours. Your boss doesn't have to give you any particular hours. You also don't have to accept any particular hours of work, a very casual workforce. From here on in, that will be given as monetary compensation for annual leave and sick leave at 12.5%. That's an additional benefit above the status quo, but it's also making it really clear for a casual worker that they're getting compensated for their annual leave and sick leave in advance.
Okay. So Brooke, I'm saying when this all kicks in, what we're saying is there is no such thing as you will get 10 sick days a year. It all depends on, that's what I'm saying, that we know, because someone's going, Leah, hi, I'm still struggling to see how this benefits employers. Is it still 4 weeks and 10 days sick leave? Essentially not beneficial at all. Working it might be easier, but still forking out the same. Am I right? Is this what this person... Is that right, Brooke?
No, that's not quite right. There's one part of the concept which is right. For full-time workers, nothing changes. People would still expect to have, on average, 10 days of sick leave and their 4 weeks of leave.
But it is accrued
for
by hours. You're saying,
yeah,
and I get that, Brooke. I just want to go back. For a full-time person, though, it's still accrued by the hour. Is that what you're saying?
That's right.
Even
that's right.
Right. So full-time could be different. Are you putting this on a 40-hour week? Because I'm full-time and I don't do 40 hours a week. I do less than that. So I will go to hourly. No, I know.
The way
I
it's calculated is...
But...
No. So the way it's been calculated, because most people in the economy do work very standard hours.
Okay.
But for the very specific calculation, I'll go and find that number for you if people were interested in the technicalities. But the way it will work is that workers will earn annual leave from day one in direct proportion to their contracted hours at a rate of 0.0769 hours per contracted hour. So it's a really complicated way of saying for every single hour that's worked, you get this small proportion, which is 452s of an hour, and those add up over time to mean that for a worker, they will essentially be in the same spot. They won't notice any difference. But for the employer who's spent so much time and money and resource on HR and accountants and legal and payroll systems to make sure that they're even complying with the law doing a variety of very complicated calculations, they only have one calculation now to follow.
Okay, got it. Changes coming for public holidays. Workers won't get a full day off in exchange for working a holiday. Otherwise, it's called otherwise working days. Can you explain how this works, Brooke?